some notes I'm making on this model that I threw the electronics in because I've decided there's just too many changes needed for the final version to make me happy. So I need to change a little bit. Well, first things first, I want to clean up that canopy and make it nicer. I want to widen the battery tray because you know, I decided I was going to go with 2 3S's, which is still the right way to go. But laying them longwise in here like this would be better than up on the edge. And the way I designed this battery tray, I really was going to use a smaller battery, but I decided I wanted longer flight time, so I got a 4,000 milliamp hour, and just not quite wide enough. I also didn't like the way I did the formers in here. They were partial former pieces that went around the battery tray. So I think if the battery's laying flat, I can reduce the height of the battery tray. And by then, when I do that, the former can be one entire piece all the way around instead of partial pieces that you glue around the battery tray. And that would make a nicer build. I've marked the area to get CG, which is right around in here, believe it or not. Where I want to build a battery tray into it. When I was glide testing this model, I didn't cut in or design in a battery tray because I had no idea where CG was going to be. But now that I know, I'm going to figure out a way to make a battery axis up here, probably with some magnets and tabs and whatnot. I've decided on the model that this should probably be 3D printed. It's really hard to roll a piece of foam that small. I did, but it was difficult. So I think these supports and this cone will probably end up being 3D printed, with the option of the builder just leaving it off if they don't want to have access to a 3D printer. I might even still leave the templates for the foam in there. I decided to add a tick mark. You know, when I burn the foam, I put these little tick marks like the flight test guys do to line up rounded pieces. And I decided I need another tick mark up here to know where the support for the cone should line up. So the way I built this wing, I basically made these curved foam pieces partial cylinders and made them come down onto the surface of the wing and glue, and that was a mistake. It's just really hard to do. I think the wing should just butt up against an entire full rolled cylinder, make it easier to build. I'm always thinking about you guys, easier to build. The popsicle little tabs I'm gonna put in there will allow you to push the engine nacelle onto the little popsicle tab with a little slot that's going to be in the side of this sheet. And then I'm going to do that in the back too in a different way, so that this gets, when you push this engine nacelle on, it'll be on correct mating to the wing and not tilted up or down or like this or that. I've decided to add tabs to the vertical stabilizers to make them easier to go in, and I've also decided to make a foam template for this angle that will come as part of the plans. So this wing is just 2 sheets of foam board. There's really nothing going through the fuselage that keeps the wing from flexing. And there's nothing going through the wing that allows all the wing pieces to line up. So it was just by hand that I eyeballed and glued them into the correct spot, and one of them actually had a droop in it, and when I was glide testing it, it caused it to curve to one side because of that droop in the wing. So I've decided to use a bow and arrow carbon fiber rod, trying to go with something that's readily available. I think there's 5mm bow and arrow shafts, and it'll go through the wing sandwich. You know, there's two sandwiches. The bottom wing portion will have the carbon fiber rod passing through it all the way to this outer wing tip. So that allows, when you push this wing tip onto, and it won't go all the way, it'll stop about here, but that'll allow when the wing gets pushed on to keep its correct pitch there. And then also there'll be another, this wing piece actually goes like this. These little filler pieces are covering that up, but there'll be another on the underside, a popsicle stick tab into this engine nacelle. So you'll have this and this carbon fiber rod to make sure that wing goes on straight. I didn't like the way I did on the underside. I can't really show you, but there's a servo sitting here, and I really didn't like the way the wiring was routed in the underside skin of the wing. So since I'm making a nice slot through here for the carbon fiber rod, I'm just gonna make a shorter slot in the underside of the wing to run the servo wire to this channel that the carbon fiber rod is, and then run it back. Also, same thing with this servo. I'm just going to make a channel, and I think it's actually under here somewhere, so it'll probably be mostly covered, but that servo, I think, will have a slot bringing the wiring back there. So I also thought about this battery tray ends at this former, and that's where I'm going to run the carbon fiber rod through the end of that battery tray. I thought about making this portion of the wing a separate piece from the rest of the wing, and then just building this whole tail assembly and then gluing it on there, maybe with some reinforced popsicle sticks or something. But that would make it easier to get all the wires run up through the battery tray and whatnot, and then this end piece comes on. I haven't decided on that yet. I'll wait till I actually try to put it together. But I know you guys wanted me to throw this thing and see what happens, and I may still do that with this as a flight test. Haha, no pun intended. But I really don't like a lot of the pieces of the design and want to fix them for the final product. So I may still send this and launch this. I may just temporarily throw the batteries in here, wire it up, and give it a toss and see what happens. But yeah, there's a lot of problems with this design as far as flexing the wings, and you know, making an somewhat accurate looking SR-71 model out of Dollar Tree foam board is not an easy thing. So there's, you know, every time I build one of these, I find something that, why did I do it that way? I should have done it this way, and why do I do it the hard way when I could have made it simpler? So that's where I'm at. You know, something to work on this winter. But hopefully this winter I will also still throw some batteries in this and see what happens. But I've been sick with the COVID, so I'm starting to feel better and starting to get back up and doing things. And you know, since this is just a test bed, I said, you know what, I'll just make my notes on here. That way when I'm designing it in the CAD, I can just look off the model and make my adjustments to my design. All right, thanks guys for watching.